You're listening to I Love It When, and I'm your host, Mo. I'm a speaker, coach, and connector. You're in the right place if you're looking for some inspiration and you're ready to truly embrace who you are. My intention with this podcast is to help you see that you are so much more powerful than you realize. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of I Love It When. I'm your host, Mo, and today I'm really excited to introduce you to Zach Rehder. He is a teacher, speaker, and healer, and I first met Zach when I had the opportunity to go to one of his breathwork events in Seattle, Washington at a yoga studio called Datsa Studios. And I had a fantastic experience. We were in a studio with probably somewhere between 30 and 40 people. And I believe this was just my second breathwork experience. And I wanted to have Zach on the podcast because I think breathwork is something that needs to be talked about more. I often hear it talked about a lot in the spiritual community with different people that I meet, different healers, but it's not still brought up a lot in other spaces. And it's such a powerful practice. There's so much healing that's possible through it and can have such an impact on your life that I really wanted to bring him on to have him share about what he does and some of the experiences that he's had. So if you've never tried it before, then maybe this will pique your curiosity. And for me, breathwork has been something that I've now done probably 3 or 4 sessions, and I've definitely kind of tiptoed my way in because there's something about it that my body responds to really quickly. And so I think I've definitely had a little bit of fear around it. And the more that I've faced that fear, like you guys know, I like to talk about that on here. The more that I face the thing that I've had some fear about, the more I can release that fear and fully expand and open up to all the different possibilities with it. And so, yeah, he shares a number of different experiences that he's had and other people that he's been working with have had while doing breath work. So here's the 411 on Zach. Zach Rehder is an international teacher, speaker, and healer with decades of experience in meditation, breathwork, and energy healing. Through a series of profound awakenings, Zach has become a channel for transformative teachings and energies that heal, unlock, and awaken human potential. His work empowers individuals to dissolve barriers and free themselves from negativity, limitation, and lack, creating space for healing and personal transformation. Zach integrates the power of the breath into all of his teachings, offering a practical and accessible tool for deep connection and growth. Zach travels the world to lead workshops and seminars and online programs and provides private sessions to clients from all walks of life. Whether in person or remote, his sessions have led many to experience incredible healings and awakenings, often beyond explanation. Zach's mission is to support others in their awakening process by helping them remove physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual obstacles. Through his compassionate guidance, he empowers people to access their own divine wisdom and fully embody who they are meant to be with ease, clarity, and grace. So, in this episode today, we talk about how Zach was led to try breath work in the first place. He describes some of the experiences he's had while doing breath work and what some of his participants have experienced. He also describes what intuition is to him and how he experiences it. And then we talk a little bit about some of his upcoming workshops and retreats. So I'm really excited for you guys to dive into this episode. And please do not hesitate to reach out to Zach, get on his newsletter, check out his upcoming events. I highly, highly, highly recommend you attend one of them. Really fantastic experiences. So, and please feel free to share this episode with your friends and family and tag us on social media. All right, here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of I Love It When. I am so excited today to have Zach Rehder on the podcast. And Zach, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Totally. Can you start off by just sharing a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Uh, that's a that's a loaded question. Yeah, so I mean the way that we met is I one of my big practices that I share with people is lots of breath work. So
Hmm.
lots of breath practices and then that I would say the breath is probably the the anchor in everything that I do, and then different ways in which that shows up, and whether we do that in breathwork groups or in retreats or anything else like that.
Okay. And what led you to begin doing breath work?
I found breathwork like about 19 years old. So I grew up in a house that was we'll say like anti-religion. And
Hmm.
so by 18, 19 years old, I was just really, I knew there was something out there, and I I didn't agree with most of the things out there that people were talking about it. And so it was like I wanted to find it for myself. And that led me into just trying everything that I ever came across, like every book and class and course that I could take, just to just to learn, just to find this. And um it's like to try to get closer to this, to, we could say, source or spirit or God,
Hmm.
um and discover it for myself. I like to say, I probably did that for like 15 years, and I had a very intellectual model. It's like I understood a lot of spiritual stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but I still wasn't happy. I was still pretty miserable. And so it was like I knew all the things, and the things are supposed to be working, but it wasn't about the knowledge. It wasn't about accumulating those. It was and that's when things really started to get cool. That's when I started, the voice of God came in one day when I was doing a healing session for somebody, and it let me know that if you can understand it, that's not what it is. And that began this journey of starting to unravel the just the understanding, and realizing, like, in that practice, that was a place where it's like, I don't even know how this works, but it works. And I don't know why this works, but it is.
Hmm.
And that was such a place I love to be. That was such a powerful place, lots of miracles in that place. But then I would go out into the rest of my life and I understood everything, right? And it was like I had the rest of life figured out. It's like, no, this is the way that it works. And it was in that, starting to dismantle and unravel the understanding of the different areas of my life. It's like it just really began to open up and become more miraculous. Things that were impossible were now happening, and all over the place. And so um, that and the breath has been such a huge, just a huge part of unraveling that and opening that up, just more and more and more.
Hmm. I love how you described that. I've never heard anybody say it quite like that. How, and tell me if I get this right, because now my brain's like working at this, because I think I'm also used to like overusing the logical side of my brain. And so you said kind of in healing, you realized you stepped into that place of not knowing how it was happening, not understanding, and realized you need to apply that idea to the rest of your life of where you thought like you had everything figured out
Yeah,
logically.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because if we feel it, it's like there. I mean, there's this correlation between. It's almost like the more intelligent somebody is, it's like also the more miserable they are. It's like
Yes.
right, they've just really understood themselves really into these corners, and it's like, no, this is the way that it works, and it's like we're cutting ourselves off from the magic.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
and
That makes so much. Yeah, I completely agree. You when you like overthink, overanalyze, and trying to make sense of everything that's not supposed to be made sense of. Yeah, there's a lot more freedom in the unknown.
and if we create it, if it gets to be more like art,
Hmm.
instead of like such a serious thing, because if we talk to all 8 billion people on the planet, like, not there's no two people that are agree about, there's no solid rule that every single person's going to agree on.
Yeah.
And so it's like realizing that we're all making it up.
Hmm. Hmm.
and and it's like, okay, if I'm making it up, how about what if I don't have to make up things that don't feel good anymore?
Yes.
or
Oh my
things that are
gosh.
crushing me.
My partner and I talk about this all the time. He used to be a lawyer, and so work coming from working in a place that was very black and white, very structured, and now he's like a play specialist. Like he specializes in creating experiences for people through play. And so sometimes during the day we'll just be like, we'll remind ourselves, oh, well, this structure is all made up. So
Mhm.
what do we want to make up today? What do we want to create to remind ourselves that to not get stuck in that way of thinking? So I love that. Um,
Well, one thing too, like for everyone to see, is like, where are we at on this spectrum, is like, how does it feel?
mhm.
Because it's like,
Does it
if
feel good?
the more that we're really locked into this solid belief system, it's like it's heavy. It creates
Hmm.
tension in the body. It's like
Hmm.
it shows up in the breath as held or shallow or disconnected. And whereas, there are ideas that everyone has, I'm sure, that, wait, that is more open, that is more spacious. And it's like those are like the ideas, or those are the it's like we're getting closer to the truth.
Hmm. How did you know at like 18, 19 years old that there was something else bigger out there?
Oh, it was something, I think just something that was pulling at me, something that was knocking on the door. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't even use the word God for uh, I don't even a really long time until I finally met somebody. I was working with this healer and he kept using the word God, and it was like, wow, it's so interesting. He's saying this word, but it doesn't have all of the other stuff attached to it. It's like it was like this really clean expression of God that was not, wasn't a guy judging you in the sky or something like that. It was
Hmm.
just this
Hmm.
really he used this word, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like, yes, that's it almost like I don't know if I got like a download from that or something, but it was like I that word became part of my vocabulary again because it's like, wait a minute, I know it's not, all of these ways that it's been used and by, I was making the word or the idea wrong because people were taking it and turning it into something totally different. And so
Hmm.
it was really beautiful to yeah, to just get to be around somebody that was like, hey, you're not doing all the stuff with that word that everybody else is doing. And
Yes.
and really open it up and let it be something beyond um like whatever it is that my mind thinks that God is. It's like it's so much more than that, so much bigger
Hmm.
than that.
Hmm.
It's one of the things that I really have just watched with people too. It's like I remind people like our mind cannot understand infinite. It can't comprehend something that has no beginning or no ending. And so it's like it can't do it. And so I also turn that back around to us, and it's like, yeah, so it's also is the same for us. It's like who we are, what we are, why we're really here is beyond any story or understanding that our mind can come up with about it.
Hmm.
And then when we look at when we're really stuffing ourselves into one of these ideas or really into this identity of who I think I am, it gets tight, it gets small. It's like it starts to create suffering because we're so much more than that.
Hmm. It makes me think too, your story about how you moved that unknown concept into the rest of your life, how it immediately it's like coming back to your body. And like you said, recognizing like what feels good in your body, what doesn't feel good, and how much that's kind of disregarded by a lot of people. Like they don't think about their bodies, they don't recognize when feelings come up. Yeah. How did you decide to start teaching this and leading groups of people through breath work and all the different ways that you work with people?
Yeah, so yeah, I would attend. I was working with facilitators for years. And then, one day I was in a breathwork group and I just got the whole in the thing, I just got the whole download. I was like, oh, this is what I meant to do next. And this guy's going to teach me to do it. I don't know if he does that, but I already saw the whole thing play out. And then I went and talked to him, and he had an apprentice program, and so I got to apprentice with him and really go into depths in this work. And then it's just been, the last 11 plus years have been just nonstop breath work all over the place, just sharing it like across mostly the Western US, but yeah, lots of breathwork groups. So
Hmm. Can you walk us through like what it looks like to go to a workshop or a session with you?
yeah. So so basically it's, there's the idea of what we think breath is, and it is so much bigger than that. And so, they've pointed at it before by calling it like prana or life force or chi or spirit. And so, in a breathwork session where people are laying on the ground, and it's kind of like we're gonna go into a journey with the breath. And so it's a specific way of breathing, of really flooding the body with life force or spirit, and it's going to create some sort of healing experience or opening or awakening experience. And so um, it I always tell people it's like the breath is always going to meet you where you're at. It's always going to give you the session that serves you the most. And so no two sessions are ever going to be the same. And it's also not going to give anybody something that they're not ready for. And so there's this beautiful place where it meets us, and it, sometimes it's a physical healing, or sometimes it's just like awareness or answers or downloads, or it can be very mystical. It can be we open up the we almost like relax our small box of identity, and then we get to realize it was like, a lot of people will have loved ones that have passed that come to visit, and they have these interactions there, and so it's like 10 million things happen in those, and it's like anything is possible in it. I just don't. I've seen so many things. It's like I just know that absolutely anything is possible. We might, this whole room might start floating even one day, and I would not be surprised.
Hmm. So when you set up like the session that I went to, I think was a 2 hour experience. And I know that was probably that might have only been the second time I've had a breathwork experience. And you did a really good job of like setting up the space for people, whether if someone's listening right now, because I know I have people that listen that have no experience with a lot of the things that I talk about or that people share about on the podcast. But you can go have no experience and you'll set them up for the experience with success. Like I know because I was like, how do you do this? What do I'd heard all sorts of stories um, about different things that people had experienced. And I definitely felt a little bit of fear going into it,
Hmm.
um, which is interesting because out of all the different things that I've tried, breathwork has been something um, that I think really confronts my fear of letting go and surrendering completely to the experience. And so I've had a couple more sessions since your that experience, but I remember distinctly, I'll never forget, really craving a cheeseburger for some reason.
Yeah.
And then also during that session, there was definitely a point where I felt like if I let go, I would be sucked into this void of space. And so I kind of slowed down my breathing so that I didn't completely feel like was going to lose myself. Um, and so it was a good experience, but it was definitely something that I've shared with people that I'm like, I realize I need to do more of this because it really has helped me to heal from some of those fears.
Totally. Yeah,
Hmm.
it will absolutely heal fear, and that's one of the things too. It's like if fear was coming up before or during a breathwork session, it was like that is what's being processed, right? And so it's the things that we haven't met yet, the things that we're holding in our system. It's like they're going to come up, but it's like the difference between meeting it from like a really small and really like we could say like deep in identity space, or meeting it from like
Hmm.
this big open expanded space, and it's like totally different. Whereas this would be too much. This is like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we're moving some fear. And this is good because this is less fear that someone's going to they're going to walk out of here with less fear in their
Yeah.
system.
Yeah. I guess I hadn't really thought about that before. So thank you for saying that because the next experience, one of the most recent ones I had, was again totally different. Like you said, every session's different, and none of that previous feeling came up again. And so I was kind of like surprised, like, oh, maybe I didn't let it get too far, but I think no, I actually felt it and let it go the last time I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why they're never the same, because you did that already. Like you met
Mm-hmm.
that in the way in which you
Mm-hmm.
did. And then we're ready for the next piece.
Mm-hmm. What are some of your experiences that you've had, like when you first started doing this compared to now? For yourself
Um,
personally.
yeah. Oh, I've had so many of the most beautiful experiences of my life. Like which one? Um, I've what was I had a really fun one time that was I was sure that I just found enlightenment, and my mind is like, oh my God, this is enlightenment. And and then it opened up again, and it was like, okay, I guess that wasn't enlightenment because this is enlightenment. And then it
Mhm.
just opened up again, and it probably did it 60 times, just taking it to the next level of like bliss and connection, and just like um and watching, my mind probably tried 20 or 30 times to be like, oh, well, this is it. And just watching our funny minds and how it's like it's always trying to establish some, okay, we found it. This is it. This is the thing. And then it just blew it open again. And the second half of that, I'm just laughing hysterically and just totally blissed out, and realizing how it's like our mind is always looking for a finish line, or an end, or beginning or end to the box, but it's like there truly is none. There is no beginning or no end. There is no finish line. And so um, that was just
Mhm.
a fun one of realizing it's like there is no, people talk about like this enlightenment like it's a destination, and it's like there's no
Mhm.
destination. It just keeps going and going and going.
Mhm.
So that was a
That's amazing.
that
That's a
was
good
an
one.
that was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
One time I got this download on how to heal seizures for people, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. And I didn't have any clients at the time that had seizures, and so I would just put it out on Facebook. I was like, hey, who has seizures? And like, let's do these sessions. And it was um yeah, it just showed me how to do it. And then I was
Wow.
like working with people like energy work, and it's just almost everybody had like a 90 to 100% improvement in their the epilepsy or seizure experiences they were having. So that was
Wow.
yeah. Um, I think there's been prophecy, like very prophetic experiences of like just knowing knowing how something was going to work or how something was going to happen next. Physical healings.
Mm.
And I think some of my favorite are just again just tapping into the absolute profound love that we are, and it's just there's no words for it.
Hmm.
It's beautiful, and beautiful doesn't even come close to touching what it really means.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Do you do it on your own? Like, do you do your own breath work every day or every week?
I do. I'm like, my life is a breath practice. So, you know, I would say like one of the things I say, and after the breathwork groups that I lead, people are like, that was the most amazing thing. And it's like, well, that that didn't add anything to you. That didn't give you something you didn't already have. It only uncovers what's already here,
Hmm.
and which is absolutely the best. And so I joke around. I'm like, this practice is beautiful, but it's not necessary. This is just for all the times we didn't breathe. This is for all the times we weren't present. And so my favorite breath practice is just being with your breath and whatever it is that you're doing.
Hmm.
If people want to pay attention to, like, notice like when you're in something uncomfortable, how are you breathing? Because that's the magic. Because when people get uncomfortable, they often don't breathe, and it's almost
Yeah.
like it's the way in which we resist like change or something new. It can be the thing that you've wanted forever. There's an uncomfortability there that our ego that's wants to keep us safe. Most of all, it's like, well, it doesn't exactly know what this is, and so let's stay away from it.
Hmm.
And so if you ask people about change, it was like, hey, do you want change? And it's like, ooh, right, there's
Hmm.
only if, right, only if it's good, only if I like it. And it's like, well, no, we're talking about change. We don't know what
Yeah.
change is going to bring. Change could be anything. And so there's a big resistance or avoidance to change, or or feeling things we haven't felt before, or going into emotions that have been uncomfortable or difficult. And so it's like those are the most powerful places to really like just find your breath and relax and open your body and like really breathe deeply into whatever it is that you're feeling.
Okay. Well, that pretty much led like straight into my next question, which was, what are some tips that you have for people who are listening that they could start to do? So being present and recognizing how you're breathing in different situations is definitely one.
Yeah. I would say there's most people, like, if breath hasn't been a conscious practice of theirs and they start becoming more and more aware, people will catch themselves holding their breath 1,000 times, 2,000 times a day, and they didn't even realize they were doing it. And so it was like,
Hmm.
wow, I had no idea. Um, if we look at stress and anxiety, if you just hold your breath for as long as you can and then feel what you feel like, it's like, oh, that feels just like stress and anxiety. And so,
Hmm.
like, though I always tell people those are our friends. Like, their stress and anxiety come to visit us, and they let us know that we're not present, we're not breathing, and we're usually believing something that's not true.
Hmm. Hmm.
And and so it's like finding those places where we're not breathing, and bringing breath there. It just starts to open up everything.
Hmm. Can you describe like some of the different patterns of breath that you use during a workshop?
So like the breath that you came to, that's
Yeah.
a circular connected breath. And so it comes out of like the rebirthing lineage.
Okay.
There's countless breath practices. I kind of like all of them. Like all like I love any conscious breath practice. Um, there as far as ones to try, like box breathing is a great one for that people can do just about anywhere, anytime, and that's just 4-part breath. It's a
Hmm.
equal count: inhale, pause, exhale, pause. And so that's what Navy SEALs do before they're going into a mission. It's what so many people, it really just brings us present, opens up our nervous system, our awareness. It's like the more that we can relax and open, the more intuitive we become, like the more tapped in we are to our gifts and our resources.
Hmm.
So that's a really beautiful practice. And then my probably favorite practice, I just call it lower, slower, deeper, softer, which is just breathing through the nose. How low, how slow, how deep, and how soft can I breathe?
Mm.
And it's like even working our way to, it's like if you can take one breath a minute, like that takes practice
Yeah.
and staying with it. Um, but even it's like as we're slowing down the breath, it's like it it doesn't take very long until people, maybe a minute or two of that, and it's like, right, you're so much more present here. Um, Stress is gone. Everything's clearer. So that's probably my favorite practice.
I wanted to take a moment to share about this upcoming retreat I have in downtown Everett, Washington at Kindred Healing Space. It's June 6th through the 8th, and the theme of this retreat is Step into Your Power. You can go to iloveitwhen.org for all information and to purchase your ticket today. This is the first time I've ever hosted one of my retreats here in Everett, and over the last 12 months, this retreat has been brewing in my energy, and I felt very called to offer something super local. I know many people in the Pacific Northwest have been intrigued by my retreats in the past, but haven't had the opportunity to attend one as of yet. This is for you. This retreat is also unique in that for the first time ever, I'm offering a 1-day ticket option. This is for you if you're curious, but you're not quite ready to commit to the full 3 days yet. The 1-day ticket option gives you access to the energy of this retreat for the entire first day, in which you'll hear and get access to each of our main speakers. Of course, I encourage you to attend for the full 3 days, especially if you feel pulled to this retreat at all in the first place. That usually means there's something here for you. This feels delicious, incredibly intentional, and full of magic. I'll see you this coming June at Kindred Healing Space in Everett, Washington. I like that idea. I haven't thought about or heard that specifically. Yeah, now it makes me want to try and see if I can do the 1 breath per minute
Yeah,
to
yeah,
work my way up there.
yeah, it's a good practice. So I used to race BMX professionally, and I've been in so many bike wrecks and accidents and just like lots of trauma there. And that was showing up. It was like PTSD and flashbacks
Hmm.
would show up when I would drive. And so I'd be like driving in the car and I would be so tense, holding my breath, like just even
Hmm.
like seeing wrecks happen that aren't happening, and just these crazy things that happen. And I realized, like, oh my gosh, how not present I was when I was driving. It was just like this, but this is what was activating the trauma in my system. And so that became this became my new meditation practice of, like, when I drive, turn off the radio. And it's like, obviously number one is eyes on the road and driving, um but then it's like really focusing on, like, okay, I'm gonna not miss a breath. And so I'm gonna breathe deeply and keep my body relaxed and open as I go through this. And it was a very short period of time. It's like flashbacks went away. Like all of a sudden it was like this, it wasn't a trigger anymore.
Wow.
And then that just became a practice that I realized, it's like that works everywhere. It's like my bank account used to trigger me. And so it would be like, look at my bank account and breathe and open and feel all the things that brings up. Or my family would trigger me, and it's like, hey, like whatever it is that's being stirred up, it's like, can I breathe and stay open and feel what I'm feeling? And it's like it's amazing. It takes the charge, it
Hmm.
takes all the content out of it.
Hmm. I love that you said that because I think people hearing that will all of a sudden flash to all the different ways in which they can use it. Because yeah, even logging into my bank account, I've had to do that in the last couple years since starting my business, where there's been times where I realize as I'm logging in, oh, I don't even want to log in and look at it because I have all these feelings coming up. So stopping and breathing or tapping, I've done too to help um, kind of just reset my body and calm myself
Yeah.
down. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Wow.
it's like your like your openness heals everything, right? And so these things that were stuck in our system are like, again, trauma, PTSD, whatever it was like it would just, it got met with tension.
Mm-hmm.
It got met with shallow breath or held breath. And so again, tapping or breathing is just helps us unwind and unravel. It's like basically take the polarity off of those things, and now they're not stuck there anymore. Now we don't have to carry them in the same way as we were before.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's a fantastic thing to be triggered. It's like
Found something else. Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, yeah. This is making me feel
Another
some stuff.
discovery.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I spent most of my life trying not to be triggered, and now
Mm-hmm.
it's like now I look forward what is going to be the next thing, because I know it's like
Mm-hmm.
that's where we're going to find like um that's the next thing that we're looking for. So
Mm-hmm.
I always ask my clients, it's like, what if everything that you were looking for was found in all the places you didn't want to look?
Mm-hmm.
And
I'd be
so,
going and looking there every day. Yeah.
yeah, it's uncomfortable work,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's challenging sometimes. I know when I say it that it sounds like it's an easy thing, and it's like, no, it's real, right? It's big stuff
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find, are you most of the time working with people one on one and then just occasionally doing group sessions, or is it now a mix?
I do mostly groups.
Okay.
So I'll do like the 2 hour groups, and then I do a bunch of retreats also. So like 3 day and 4 day retreats.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, not as much one work anymore.
Okay. And then just out of pure curiosity, because I am always curious, have you been hired much by corporations or businesses to come in and do this? Like I'm wondering if that is there if there's growth happening in that for employee wellness and things like that.
Yeah, I've done so many things over the years. Yeah, there's been like corporate teams. It's like when they breathe together, or athletic teams.
Yeah.
There's this magic that happens when we breathe together, and so that's why I love groups the most, because
Hmm.
there's like this magic that comes. It's like when we're all opening up together, it's like it's so much, where two or more are gathered, right? It's like there's an exponential thing. Like I always see, like I see like every person. It's like, what if every person has a puzzle piece for us?
Hmm.
And it's like, oh, when we can be with another person and we can be in openness together, it's almost like there's something magic that happens that we can't see. And
Hmm.
maybe we both walk away like more whole and complete from that connection, that experience. And so groups are really powerful. And then yeah, all of the ways in which we can use it. I've been training facilitators for the last like 6 years, and it's really cool to hear how people are using this practice in ways that it's like, I didn't even think about that, just
Hmm.
just and in the communities that they're serving and who they're helping with the work, and the incredible miracles that are happening. It's really just really beautiful to hear.
I hadn't thought about that idea of doing a breathwork session with like a sports team and how what a cool experience that would be to help bring the group together. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's a
Yeah,
really cool
it's
idea.
well, and you see like really, like the incredible athletes or whatever, it's like they're operating, they have way more than five senses that they're using, right? It's like they can see what's going on behind them, and they don't have to look, right? There's other senses going on. And so I've found breath work really helps people open that up. It's cool to do it as a team, because you're connecting on a deeper level. And so
Hmm.
yeah, you go out there, and yeah, there's a deeper connection. It's like you have access to more communication than before.
Hmm. Do you find that I'm just curious about, do you find that you have like an equal number of men and women that come, or are there more men coming? Because I've been definitely noticing that there are more men showing up for events like this, where before I'd go into in the be just a full room of women, whether it be breath work or sound work or or whatever it might be. And I'm wondering if you've noticed a difference between, I don't know, openness to it, because I definitely feel like that is shifting. I'm seeing men open up more in sessions that I'm doing, whether it be workshops or retreats or things like that. And it's been cool to see.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think um this whole this whole personal development, spiritual path exploration was definitely more heavy. There was more women involved in it, and it's like there's definitely more men coming around, which is it's
Hmm.
cool. It's about time.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I think their energy too, and when they open up and they get vulnerable and share in those experiences, it just adds to the magic. It's really amazing to see.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm super excited for it. And I just see people, I just see more and more people opening up to like just just hearing conversations that I would never think that I would hear from people. And yeah, the world is waking up, and I think it's a very beautiful thing.
Hmm.
And it's going to be messy because
Hmm.
there's a lot of right, we got it has to come up to heal it, and so there's a lot of shadow that's coming up all over the place, and
Hmm.
that's part of the process. I don't know how to do it any other way.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it's good to keep that in mind, to remember that. I often will ask people about intuition on my podcast because everybody describes it a little bit differently. And you've talked about it a little bit, but I'm wondering how you define what intuition is and how you kind of share about it.
Yeah. Intuition, let's say that it like it doesn't come from the logical mind, right? And so everyone is so incredibly intuitive, but they often talk themselves out of it. And so
Hmm.
one of my favorite things of how you know that everyone's intuitive because you hear people be like, I knew I shouldn't have done that. And
Yes.
so, right? It's like I knew one thing, but logically I did the other thing. Or
Yeah.
and so like we all know, and I think that's how we all get good at our intuition is, right? It's like, oh, I knew that, but I
Hmm.
did the other thing. You get a few of those that burn bad enough, and then all of a sudden that stepping into the unknown it gets easier because you know what happened. I know what happens when I don't.
Hmm.
I know the mess that I get into. Um, and so it's like there's like it's a knowing. It's. I think we could talk. How do we want to talk about it right now? I think it's something to practice. I don't know I don't know if every single person experiences it the same. So I'm a big feeler, and it's like I know like when something is a yes, when something is a no. It's like there's an experience, there's a very big feeling experience to it now because I've just been practicing that for a long time.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that can be so different for everybody. And so
Hmm.
I love to give people like just a practice of like, hey, how do I know when something is a yes? How do I know when something is a no? And we start to explore that, and we start to experiment with that with it in our lives. And so, it can be like playing games of like, hey, where's my keys?
Hmm.
Uh, and it'd be like, are they in the bedroom? Are they in the hallway? Are they in the kitchen? And it's like something about the kitchen seems different, or I'm having a different experience there. And then I go to the kitchen and I find my keys
Yes.
and just realize it's oh cool, I knew that. And as we start to practice that, um, you do that long enough, and I know I got to a place where I'm like, I don't really make logical decisions anymore. Sometimes the logical decision is the same as the intuition, and that's easy.
Hmm.
And sometimes they're different, and when they're different, it's like I gotta go with intuition, gotta go with that feeling.
Hmm.
Um, one of the things with intuition too is like people are often asking themselves ego questions, and that's not, and it's like the intuition can't answer that,
Mm.
right?
What do
And
you mean
so
by like what would be like an ego question?
like that it has judgment cooked into it,
Okay.
and so it's like trying to make the right choice
Hmm.
is an ego decision, right? It's like right or our souls don't really play the right or wrong game, and so so it's like trying to make the right choice here, or trying to trying to get the thing. um it's like the more invested I am in the answer, it's like well, it becomes less and less clear because that's the mind trying to do it rather than coming from
Yeah.
intuition.
Yeah.
And so I love to remind people is like, like our intuition is going to lead us into things that are challenging. Our intuition is going to, it might be like, yes, to go out with a person that you're only going to date for a month and
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to blow up in you, but
Yeah.
that whole process actually like cracks you open to more love
Mm-hmm.
and you become even more clear on who you are and what you want. And so it was like
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't a failure. That was actually a beautiful, important process that we
Mm-hmm.
needed in our spiritual growth.
Yeah, that's such a good reminder. So I think sometimes people hesitate so much on whether or not to do something, whether it's go out with somebody new or try something new in their business or get a new job or something. And then if they do it and it doesn't work out perfectly, they think, oh, that was a mistake. But it really most likely was the perfect unfolding for whatever lesson there was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that again, that movement feeling or that feeling of expansion rather than constriction, I always go for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had one time where I knew to invest money in this investment opportunity that I had. And I also had this like little voice that's like, I wonder if I'm supposed to lose this money. And sure enough, so like it was the most money that I'd ever put in anything. And it was like
Wow.
a big deal at the time. And sure enough, it was a bust. And that there was some feelings that came up with that, but then there was also like the laughter of like I knew to do this and I knew that it wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
And even realizing like how much I've grown, it was like this would have like crushed me at any other point in time in my life. And here I'm like, oh yeah, that wasn't fun, but life goes on and it's okay. And it's like that process actually like opened me up to I know that opened up the doors and able to be even to receive more money, right? Because
Hmm.
now
Hmm.
if I lose that amount of money, it's like yeah, it's not a
Yeah,
trigger anymore.
that's
It's not a
happened
thing.
before. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was
Yeah.
like that was actually um I was like the losing the money was the thing that actually created the process to actually have more money. And um so again, now in anything, it's like it's just a yes or a no. I don't ask if it's going to work anymore or
Hmm.
if it's going to turn out the way that I want it to or anything like that. It's just like yes, yeah, we're going to go forward with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I when I work with different people too and I coach people, I recognize sometimes where people are I always tell them like an important part of manifesting is getting yourself out there, like mixing with other energies. Because if you just stay stuck at home and you don't leave your house very much or at all, how can you expect to manifest something or create something when your energy doesn't have anything to mix with? And so that you're I like the way that you explain this concept. It's really it makes so much sense because again, thinking about being in movement rather than staying constricted and staying in expansion, it's all about creation and
Yeah.
not looking at it like a failure
Yeah.
because it's something doesn't happen the way that your brain thinks it's supposed to.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
go make mistakes. Like if
Yes.
right, if we still have a bunch of resistance to making mistakes, it's just because we haven't made enough yet. And so
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, go do it wrong. Go
Yeah.
right, go make a mess. And like that's all just that's part of life.
Hmm.
Like I always love to ask people this question of like when you check in with your soul, like, did you come here to be happy all the time or did you come here for all of it? It's like,
Mm.
I came here for all of it. It's like, yes. So
Yeah.
it's helpful to remember like when we're in the dark day, when we're in the like the really hard stuff, to remember it's like this is what I came here for too. Like I came
Hmm.
here for this experience. I came here to feel this way also. And it's amazing how it's almost like 90% of the pain of life is resisting and avoiding the pain.
Yes.
And so when you realize it's like, right, I'm really sad and it's like I came here to feel this sad, or I'm really angry or I'm really depressed. It's like I came here to feel this and all of a sudden we're not fighting it anymore. It's a totally different experience.
Hmm. Yeah. And once I love that, I can think of many times in my life where I've gotten to that place where you realize, oh, you mean if I surrender to this and I just feel it, I'm going to feel it and it's going to move on. Like it may come in different forms multiple times throughout my life, but it's not like I'm going to be incredibly sad and depressed my entire life. Like it's not supposed to stick with you forever. And I think that's kind of the fear that a lot of people have.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's the fighting against it that has us stuck in it. I remember having this experience where, my way to avoid feeling, like one of my go-tos was exercise. And so anytime I was didn't like the way that I felt, it's like I could always
Hmm.
exercise. I could always go for a bike ride and I would feel a little bit better for a while. But I was just running from and managing those feelings. And I had this experience where all of a sudden it's like I was supposed to go for a bike ride later that day, and all of a sudden it's like this like deep depression came in, and it was like came out of nowhere, and like didn't nothing logical bring it up, like brought it on. It was just like feeling like this deep depression.
Mm.
And I just had this knowing, it's like, you know what, if I go riding, I'm going to feel better, but I know it's really important not to feel better right now. And so, I canceled that and decided to just spend a few hours just like really just making room for and feeling what I was feeling. And,
Hmm.
maybe it lasted an hour or two,
Hmm.
felt, felt totally different on the other side of it. And I got to see there was almost like this awareness and this knowing that showed me of like, okay, here's this thing that I just maybe spent an hour or two with. I used to turn this into like a 6 month depression by
Wow.
by fighting it, by just always trying to get away from it, distract from it, manage it, do anything but just sit with it and feel it. And and so that is very much my practice of like everything is just like, okay, we're like, let's be with this. It's like
Yeah.
I don't want to feel good. I want to feel the way that I'm feeling.
Hmm. What an
And
amazing realization. Oh my God. And of course, my brain's like, wow, to go from 6 months to like a 2 hour experience, like how much you just shifted your life with that realization and what, yeah,
totally, yeah.
yeah. How cool. I love reflection like that when that happens. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, well, you've already answered my next question, which is how do you hear, see, and feel your intuition? It sounds like you're a big feeler and
I'm
then
a big fan.
sometimes maybe get images and
Yeah, well, and it shows up. I think it shows up in different ways. Sometimes I see things. There's times where I just know things or hear, like it's so many different things happen.
Mhm.
But I would say that the way that I listen the most is by feeling.
Okay. I love that. Do you find is it different when you're in a breathwork session yourself, maybe not leading it, but if you're doing breathwork, do you find your intuition talks to you in different ways, or is it similar?
Um, yeah, I think yeah, I almost, it seems like it can be so many different ways that there's not just one way. And so, um, and sometimes they're showing up like in a combination too, right? And so there's a feeling experience, and then there's a deep knowing of like what this is or why it is or what it's connected to, or this isn't even mine, but I
Hmm.
get to be the one that can meet this and feel it and give it space. So um so yeah, it feels like there's like countless ways that it shows up, which is exciting because I think it
Hmm.
keeps because there's no end to it. And so, right,
Hmm.
it's like I keep having new experiences with it and just like um, watching things happen in ways in which they've never happened before.
Hmm. I love it. Well, what are some of your upcoming events and things that you have going on for people that are listening if they want to check out your work?
Oh, let's see. I definitely have some breathwork trips coming up, like Western US states
Hmm.
and then like Michigan and Missouri and maybe Wisconsin. So some Midwest stuff is coming up later this
Okay.
year. And then I have some 4-day retreats. I have 3 more 4-day retreats on the calendar for 2025 in Sedona.
Okay. And are those for
And
people who want to be practitioners or just to come and experience breath work with you?
yeah, that's just it's a 4-day retreat and where we're just exploring ourselves and opening up to new possibilities.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind. That's probably something I I could lean into, but yeah.
yeah, they're my favorite. Everyone is incredibly different. They're created by the people that show up, and we just get to dive in and go for it. So,
Okay.
and then I'm also, it's funny. I was emailing earlier today with another healer, and it's fascinating how many people are in this place of like, even it's like, okay, I got these things on the schedule, or here's these things I think what's going on, what's going to happen next. But there's also very much this place of like, wow, it feels like we're in the middle of a really big change,
Mm-hmm.
and everything might be changing,
Mm-hmm.
and
I totally,
and
yeah, feel that as well.
yeah, and so
Mm-hmm.
there's so I hold all of those loosely. It's like, who knows,
Yes.
who knows what we'll be doing next month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I know I'm on your email list for those of you that are listening, if they come to your website, they can sign up to get on your newsletter to hear about when you're coming to, like I know you come to Washington quite often, and the other locations that you mentioned. So I'll make sure to put that information uh, beneath the podcast and everything. Is there anything I haven't asked you that I should ask you?
um I don't know, I don't think so.
I always like to ask just in case.
What should you ask me? A great question.
If nothing comes to mind, that's okay. We
Yeah, I
covered
don't
a
think.
lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, cool. Well, I like to end each episode with your current I love it when for either yourself or for the world right now.
Hmm. Yeah, I love it when I get to witness, just be the witness of somebody just like waking up or connecting to themselves or realizing that they do love themselves, or just finding themselves. I think it's my favorite experience here. It's one of the most beautiful things on the planet. So uh,
Hmm.
I love it when that happens in front of me.
Cool.
I love the front row seats.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Truly,
Hmm.
it's been amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.